Hey, Paul.
Hey, Sam. I'm excited for a brand new Generation Gap, but not a podcast, a Music Monday hot take. Starting today, Monday, January 2nd, we are going to be posting on YouTube, on our Generation Gap YouTube channel, every Monday, Music Monday hot take. The idea is just whatever we're thinking about at that given time, we're going to
Mhm.
post a little hot take on YouTube. On board with that? Sound cool?
Absolutely. I'm pumped for it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, who wants to go first for the Music Monday hot take?
Um, do you want me to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Um, my hot take for January 2nd
Yeah.
is I do not dislike the music of Taylor Swift.
Okay.
That is my hot take. And I have a little bit of time here, so I'm going to briefly explain myself.
Okay.
I think that as someone that writes their own music and plays their own instruments, I really admire that she's gained that amount of popularity doing that, and I think that she deserves everything that she's received
Mhm.
because of her talent, and even more so when you listen to what's on pop radio, it's significantly better than a lot of what's being played. I think there's some more substance to it, and it'll be around longer, kind of like how people still like to bring out old Madonna records now.
Interesting. Yeah. I will agree with your hot take because I just saw yesterday they were doing like a year in review from music on one of the New Year's Eve countdowns. And I guess at one point this year, Taylor Swift had a track in every single slot of the Billboard top 10 was one of her tracks. Like that is an accomplishment.
Yeah, that's a major accomplishment,
Huge.
and you don't you don't get there if you're not talented.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I agree with your hot take. I agree with you. Nice.
Nice.
I really don't know much of Taylor Swift's music, but I guess it's never too late to start.
Um, I've grazed the surface
Uh-huh.
is about as much as I can say.
Uh-huh.
But that's about it. I don't know. She had 20 songs, and there's a few different reasons why I got into it, but or decided to graze the surface. But again, not my favorite of all time, but
Right.
I feel she's pretty good. What's your
Um,
hot take?
my hot take is I agree with you. My hot take is that Soundgarden is one of the least like underrated 90s bands. And they
Really?
yeah, and they kind of haven't survived, and it's really sad. And the reason for my hot take is that it's a long story. I saw a kid on Instagram covering, he was playing guitar and singing to a Cranberries track called Zombie, which is a really cool 90s track. And I like the Cranberries. So, like, I got in a 90s mood, and then I started listening to Soundgarden.
Hmm.
And, like, it sounds old, but it's not that old. It's not any older than comparable, sort of like early 90s grunge music.
Right,
And
right.
it kind of hasn't aged that well. And, like, I wish it had. Like, I think it's kind of underrated in the sense that Chris Cornell was a really, really great singer, a great songwriter, and a great vocalist. But like all the kids that like Nirvana today probably don't know who Soundgarden is.
I agree, and I think a lot of their stuff does sound pretty 90s,
It does.
which necessarily isn't a bad thing, but listening to Chris Cornell Unplugged, you really can see what an incredible songwriter he was, and I wish that they were more underrated, you know? Yeah, I completely agree with your hot take.
You wish they were more underrated or more sort of like known as a band?
Um, that's a good question.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, I guess the way I would put it is that I think that they're already an underrated band because of Chris Cornell's songwriting.
Right.
But I think that if you would had to ask me what is the most underrated band of the 90s, I wouldn't come out with Soundgarden. I think that some of their music hasn't aged well in terms of aesthetic.
Right.
Um, and I think that if it had aged better, they would be more underrated, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I can see that too. Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that too. I guess to kind of like just kind of pinpoint more what I was saying is that they kind of get lumped in with like, oh, it's just that 90s grunge. Everybody was doing it. And there's like countless bands that kind of jumped on that bandwagon. And then there's the standouts that everyone still knows today, like Pearl Jam and Nirvana. But
Right,
then you
right.
have the other ones that were really good, like Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, and
Mhm.
my personal favorite, like STP, which really kind of aren't grunge. Their first album was, but they kind
Yeah,
of transitioned away from it. They were able to move out of the grunge phase. But like I don't know, I was just listening to a lot of Soundgarden and specifically Chris Cornell, and it's like it's a shame that more people don't listen to that music. And I wish that Soundgarden had made it out of the '90s, like some of the other bands.
fair enough.
And
Yeah, they did a reunion in the mid 2010s, but I don't think it
I didn't.
was.
No,
Yeah,
didn't really go
it didn't
over.
live up to their heyday. Yeah, but look, Bad Motorfinger, Super Unknown,
Yeah,
fantastic records.
fantastic. Yeah,
Chris Cornell's work with Audioslave is fantastic.
it's really
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
That's my hot take. All right, Sam.
all right,
I'll see you on the next one.
you too.
Later.